Hello, everyone. Welcome to WonderCon 2020. This is learning through role-playing games, an online panel. So this is going to be really interesting. I hope all of you are safe and sound, and sorry you couldn't join us at Anaheim Convention Center, but you're watching this, and please enjoy. Feel free to stop it and go over anything. If you have any questions, we'll have our contact information at the end of this presentation. So let's do some introductions first. You could see three of us, but the first person, you will hear her voice, but will not see her. Emily?
Hi, everybody. My name is Emily Wen-Huai. I am the social media manager for the Game Academy. Currently, I just moved, so I don't have any camera, so I thought I would spare you guys the terrible graphics. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoy.
Thank you, Emily. Okay, and then Fiona?
Hey, what's up, you guys? My name is Fiona Renee. I am an actress in Los Angeles, California. And I am also on the board of the Game Academy alongside Erin. And I'm just excited to be here to talk about what role-playing games and storytelling can do for the growth of our minds and our hearts and our communities.
And Keenan.
Hello, I'm Keenan Kubrick. I work in education for the Oak Park Unified School District, so I do education technology. And I love also, I'm a game master for the Game Academy, and I love designing, creating, and helping students use games to improve learning. And I'm also the game master in this session, so you'll see me a lot as I run this thing.
And my name is Erin Vanek. I am the secretary on the board of directors of the Game Academy. I've been gaming for many years and I've been teaching. I am an in-class teacher. I teach role-playing game design, board game design, card game design. I'm a game designer, game player, game runner, and I'm very happy to be able to present this to you. So I'll explain real quick what we're going to do. I have a very short little PowerPoint presentation to give you on role-playing games and their educational value. And then we ran a actual game online that Keenan ran with some actors who are wonderful. And we will be showing you clips of that and then stopping and talking about it on the educational benefits. So you will see kind of a game being played, and then we'll be pausing that video and we will be commenting on it. So, okay, learning through role-playing games. What is role-playing game, also abbreviated as RPG, is very much communal storytelling and narrative where people are playing roles, the participants are playing roles, and the game aspect of this, the game in it gives us some kind of a structure for getting things done. A way to be telling a story and keep the narrative going. There's very popular versions of role-playing games. Dungeons and Dragons is probably the most popular one, but there's also Pathfinder, GURPS, Star Trek, Star Wars, Vampire. There's tons and tons. These are all commercial games available, and the Game Academy, we actually use off-the-shelf games like this, or indie games, for education. So we take these games and use them for educational purposes. Most of the time when you see people playing, they're sitting around a table like this, telling a story, playing characters. You might see at the bottom there, they have character sheets and some funny shaped dice. That's very standard and typical, although not always. Not all games are using dice like this, but this is a very good photo example of what you see when people are role-playing. One of the great quotes that I've heard from Mads Luna, who founded Østerskov After School, which is a school in Denmark where their entire curriculum is LARP and role-playing game based. All of it, they learn everything through role-playing games. Is that he said students can safely learn failures by wearing the mask of role-playing without getting hurt. Meaning, failure is an option here and it can happen because it's just your character that's doing it, not the person. And that's actually really powerful for students and for learning. Some features of educational role-playing games, you can see all these here. There's a lot of them. Empathy skills, social emotional learning, which is really big. 21st century skills, which are also really big. These are all standards that schools are using in addition to actual like subject matter, math, science, history, language. All the subjects can be utilized and exercised in an educational role-playing game in addition to all these other things that you're seeing here. And what's really great about role-playing games is that it's intrinsically motivating to the students. They want to learn because it will help their character, to help the story, it helps the advancement of the game itself. It's a wonderful way of students learning. So we're gonna get now into a game. Okay, so what you have here is a video screen from Zoom of the game that we played, and so I'm just gonna play the clip where they all introduce themselves.
Hi, I've named my character Otherness. I'm excited to play.
Hello, my name is Herman Gambier. I'm an actor for stage, screen, and theater. I'm currently on a beach right now, relaxing. And this really fun game, I'm going to be playing the character of Zamir, spiritual healer.
Hi, I am Vance Fannin. I am playing the role of Ashley Ice Cream in this. I'm a sorceress with a magical and sometimes convoluted past. I am a board game designer myself as Vance. I'm a drag queen, and you can find me on Instagram if you want to see any of that cool stuff. Other than that, I'm D&D addicted. I'm in 3 campaigns and DMing 2 of them myself, so it's been super fun. I literally have one in like a few hours today, so hope you guys enjoy this. It's a fun group.
All right, I'm Scott, and I am also an actor and a writer and producer, and I work with a startup modular building company to help solve the affordable and homeless housing crisis. But today, I'm playing the part of Korthar, the thief and on and off again bounty hunter who has some secrets in his past and present. I'm sorry, my website is scott.com with 7 T's. That's all.
Okay, here's our first clip.
We have characters, and you can be whatever you want. I have a fighter, a ranger, a wizard, a druid, a paladin, a cleric. What would you like to all be? And I'm going to mute that, and you guys just work out what you want to be in the party.
Okay, so this was an interesting thing that Keenan started with on this situation of giving the players the options of picking a character, and actually had them make the character in that process. So they made the character. A lot of times, some kids don't understand the game. They don't know the game. So if you come at them and say, do you want to be a druid or a paladin or a barbarian, depending on the age of the kid, they might not even know what those words mean or how they fit into the setting of the game. So sometimes it helps to have pre-made characters for them and you give them choices. But you're also building skills just even in the explaining of what the game is like. And then as they get advanced, it's good to give them the opportunity to make their own character within their, with what they want to do a lot of times. Yep.
To add to that, one thing I actually have found is students like agency in games, and letting them choose a character gives them that agency to choose how they want to express themselves and be. And yes, you are completely right that sometimes in lower grades they do not understand it. And even in those cases, giving them choice of which character they want to play, if it's already pre-made, is still, I think, that agency is one of the best starting points. And you'll see in this game as it goes on that to really get them engaged in the game. It's something I feel that sometimes they like what we want to try to do in education by giving them choice.
And I also, like, kind of just back that up, I noticed that although we are actors and we have some experience in the storytelling realm, usually you give us our character and our lines and everyone kind of does that work. The writers do that work for us. In this situation, Herman and Scott, they both were playing RPGs for the very first time. This was both of their very first games. So they didn't understand what they needed to use dice for. They didn't know any of that. All they knew is that they needed to come with an open mind and be prepared to play and build. And, you know, we had a successful game.
What I also thought was really interesting about this also before we get in is that, so we had adults and we do stuff for kids. So we had a really good group. We had a wonderful group of players that dove into it, but a lot of times there isn't that. Game Academy often has games with kids with special needs and other things and they don't know each other, right? This was a group of people who knew each other. So having this choice, and you'll see as the game goes on, having these choices really gives a lot of kids opportunities to exercise their social emotional learning stuff.
And
Emily,
some of us knew each other. Not all.
Oh, yeah. Emily?
I think it's really interesting to note too, the way that we used to run this in my old classroom was this was a side activity you got to do after you were finished with homework, or if you were, whatever you were doing with your chores. And it really helped the kids who were not really wanting to do the more school stuff do that stuff. So they were like, I want to read on my off time. I want to look at the player's manual. I want to figure out what I can do. I want to roll, and I want to be able to do math. It was all that kind of stuff that was really, it was a good motivator, and it's a very easy way to integrate this into your classroom.
Yeah, absolutely. There's resources that the Game Academy can provide too for teachers and homeschoolers on how to integrate this into the classroom. Cool, let's continue.
As a Magic user, are you, and I always like to do this when I do my games, this will go into thing, I always like to find out why they want to be it or what they want to do as it. So as a Magic user, do you want to be one who is like, you read a lot of books and you pull out scrolls and you have a lot of magical artifacts? Or are you like, I have magical powers that I summon things? Do you use your magic to blow stuff up? Do you use your magic to do interesting things? What do you like to do with your magic? What is your, I guess, specialty?
So this was great. I'm stopping in here where Keenan asked Vance he was going to be playing the Magic user and what he was doing about that. And it's really interesting for something that we can do at the Game Academy. We like to ask the parents and the student, what are the goals for the character? What would you like to work on of your social emotional learning? Is there some aspect that you want to work on? And in doing that, we can kind of find out what character might suit you. And we are really giving, again, like Keenan said, agency and empowerment to the student to play the character they want to play. And we can sort of guide them in a little bit in how these things work. In that guidance is sort of our directive from the Game Academy as educators to help the student reach the goals that have been set ahead of time when they join our program by the parents and or the student, if that makes sense.
There are goals that we want to set as individuals, and the parents will know whether or not we, as the student, need to be socializing more, talking intimate more, or if we have a touching issue. All of these kinds of things that are a little bit delicate can be handled inside of the character.
Yeah, absolutely.
For the story reading today, you guys are going to be playing bounty hunters. So I don't know if that fits as well.
That's okay.
What would you want to do if you can keep that, but then like, why are you a bounty hunter?
I decide where all our money goes.
Okay, but why are you a bounty hunter? Why are you doing that? Is this like the way to get to the person?
You're going to use the money maybe to...
Or maybe the bounties that we're choosing just happen to be people that are on the hit list.
Lineup.
Killer.
It's a
consequential. It's like, yes. I'm a bounty hunter with you guys. I'm really a paladin, but you guys are going after the same guys that I'm going after, so I'm in.
Just gets you one step closer.
Yeah, I love that. Thanks, guys. Thanks for creating my story with me, guys.
Absolutely.
That's what a good game does. Going after the people that your father that killed your father. So it's like a crime organization you're going after, and you hunt the people that are part of it. That's perfect for this game, actually.
Yeah, and that also put a nice little conflict in between those that are money grubbers. Mm-hmm. So who are our money grubbers?
We'll find that out. That always pops out. Yeah. We don't need to declare that in the beginning. They show themselves.
So we've got a paladin / fighter. We've got a magic user. We've got some roles that are still available to us.
Okay, guys.
Yeah.
What do you got?
Well,
go
my
ahead,
God. No, please. I'm just looking at myself.
For me as a teacher, as a former teacher, this is a really, really good interaction. Each individual person is expressing what they want and what the stories are, but everybody else is chiming in to help you connect the dots. And it's not necessarily in a mean way. It's not like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you didn't get it. It's, oh, maybe we can do it this way. Maybe we can do it that way. Essentially, you're still creating your own character, but you're getting immediate feedback from your audience, so to speak, and the people around you of, yeah, that'll work, that won't work. So it's a very gentle way of guiding it. And Keenan pointed out, it's a really, that's what a good story does. If you have a good team, they'll help each other. And essentially that's the goal, is to get people to social emotional learn by helping each other.
If I can add something to that, one thing I found interesting about it and why I do that in every game, the whys of that, is if you take the 4 C's of education, there's creativity, collaboration, communication, and critical thinking. It literally covers all 4 bases when you're doing this right there, because they're all getting creative, they're all thinking of how they do it, they're communicating their ideas to each other, and they're collaboratively building it. And a collaborative story is kind of what we really want to teach them how to make stories, because it actually helps us become better writers. And then even the critical thinking will come in later in more parts, but to think about how your character would be and why you do it, that's motivations, that's engagement, that's true character creation. And those are just such great skills. And that's why I always want people to think of the why in it. And I give credit to the game systems, because some of them really do encourage that in it. So it's a great tool.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And on top of that, I mean, there was this, I was in a brain space, a play space, where when you were asking me questions, Keenan, I was thinking, well, what do I want? I want to revenge my father. And how do I want to do it? And my brain was focused and clear, and I was a part of the game. But I needed the help of someone else on, as players, to give me a perspective that I couldn't see because I was so focused. So then when that happened, I could have easily said, no, I want to choose, like, it's my story. But luckily they were all already aware, this is my character, it's my choice. These are all options. And we're also aware of a bigger goal ahead of time, the bounty hunting, where we all had this common thing that we couldn't change. It was part of the game. And so everyone accepted my wants, but simultaneously helped me make my wants fit with the overall common goal.
Which is amazing, which is an amazing way of getting things like that, because a lot of times you have kids who are very shy and they're withdrawn and they don't want to say something. So having the players encourage them and kind of help them, but yet they still have the ability to say, no, I don't really want to do that. This collaborative story building that is the heart and soul of role-playing games is just so useful for kids, for their social emotional learning and their development and everything. It's just, it's amazing. And this is a great example of how you can see how that happened just in the character development.
And one last thing with that is, one thing I love at the Game Academy is, and this is just how I game master, and I know because we've all been to these seminars from the Game Academy that teach us, they teach us how to regulate the game experience to make it a safe place for everybody to make a character like this. That's very important, where they can say, they know how to make the space. We did that already, that you couldn't give constructive feedback to somebody else. And it's not a way of, no, yours sucks. It is a, no, let's all help each other. That is something I have found the Game Academy's philosophy, vision, and really what even we were taught as when we learned how to be game masters in it, they emphasize, which is super important when you're doing this to make it work out. Because I've seen many games where character creation just gets mean and forces people to do things. But I love that the Game Academy emphasizes that, and it's just a beautiful quality.
And it really helped. I mean, Herman, he's a good friend of mine, and he's very, as much of a great actor he is, he's very quiet, especially with new people. And it really, I could tell in the beginning of the game, him slowly coming out of his shell, hearing other people create their characters in front of him. And that vulnerability, you just can't deny it.
Absolutely. Okay, let's move to the next clip.
as you are a healer, do you fight? Do you have like a martial arts type of monk fighting style and you are there, or do you primarily just stay in the back and heal?
Or maybe use like magical, like, you know, spiritual, I just calm you down so you don't want to fight, or
I like that one.
So yeah.
Where a little bit in the background, but pulling some strings.
Cool.
Okay. Perfect.
Are we good here?
Now we're not going to do things like spell lists and stuff. So when you do something in cast, just say kind of what you want to do, and we'll use it like that. As long as be realistic, none of you are master wizards or master healers. You're not going to do like palm strikes of death instantly or giant fireballs. We are good.
This is when we're on the playground and we're setting our power level, you know, so that's like none of this, my power cancels out your power stuff. It's all, you know, right at that level. So cool.
I just wanted to point out that the clip we just watched, it's very good for setting parameters, because I find that's something important to do in any kind of setting. Is here's my expectations, here's what we're saying we're going to do. And I think Josh put a really good point. It's like, it's that part where you're on the playground and you're like, okay, you can't be more overpowered than everybody, because then it just ruins the game. But I did want to ask Keenan, because I'm somebody who's never really run a game before. It's not something I would have considered. How do you come up with the things that like might come up with the games that might go wrong? Or do you have any tips for like a new GM who might just be starting out?
So I will say, for one, it does change with the grade level. I learned this best from an interview I had with McGay Baker, and she's a big game designer. And she said that, you know, when kids are young and they are like in 5 and 6, I have a 7-year-old daughter, they don't need many rolls of their pretend, because their pretend game can go everywhere and everything, and they really don't care. But as we grow older, we start just ourselves in our brains limiting ourselves. And that's just how we grow. We kind of put limits on ourselves. And then I find in the game, you want to add those limits as well. As for what they are, it changes by what you want to see happen in the game. So some things I definitely don't like, as you heard, are things that let anybody win automatically. I like people to struggle. And the more characters struggle, the better the game is. And that's why the systems I play do that. So, you know, if you have anything that's like, I'm going to destroy the world with this one power, I'm One Punch Man, I try to definitely go get those things out of it. The same thing goes for when you heard about the levels of magic or telepathy. I knew that if they had telepathy, then they could have everything inside their brain, and they're not going to actually have conversations with each other. And it also has points of then maybe too far. So I always tend to limit more in the beginning and then open up limitations. But that's also how I am as a teacher. We make it more closed in the beginning so we have more structure. But then as we go on, maybe we can open that border up into more interesting things as it goes on. So as a new GM, that's what I recommend. Start with some strict borders, but give people still choice. And then as the game goes on, open them up when people are better at, when you learn and you can tell the group is good at those, as we talked about earlier, that communication between players. Once they have rapport, once they're all talking to each other, then yeah, open up some limitations. Let them see where their creativity goes. But at the beginning, keep it a little more simple for everyone, because you want everybody to enjoy the same game. And to do that, you need to box it some. Flashback to one game I played where we tried to do superheroes, and one person was Superman and one person was like Zorro. It was a really bad game because the two of them, it's boring when they meet each other. So you actually have to make it either all Superman or all Zorro. So that's when I make the box like that. I hope
it's really interesting, Keenan, you saying that, because I mean, that's life in general, right? We get these rules or these boundaries put on us when we're younger, and we get told, well, one day you'll be able to actually change these rules and you'll have agency over making the rules yourself. But right now we're powering up, and for this circumstance, we were in preschool. So as we see our students grow and as we ourselves grow through storytelling, when we first begin, it's really getting a hang of understanding, okay, we're learning here. And as we learn, we'll be able to push boundaries even more, but we have to know what those boundaries even are first.
What's also cool about this is that the Game Academy, we have training for GMs. So our GMs talk, and there's a training procedure to go through this. And what we also like doing is actually expanding this where the players actually become GMs. So we encourage the players that as they get older and they're going through the game academy, that they actually become GMs themselves. So, you know, what Keenan said, we're basically starting with this box of like, you have to make a character and maybe you only have choices for a game you don't know. And as time goes by and you grow and the box expands until you start making your boxes. And we have GM training programs for kids to be doing this, which is amazing to do also because now they're researching the things that they want to write about. So if they want to do a science fiction scenario, maybe they start researching rockets or robots or things like that to run a game for people back at their end that they've gone through it. And it's the, I forgot, Keenan or Emily, you might know the hierarchy of mastery where you're able to teach someone. I want to say Maslow's, but it's not Maslow's.
That's the
What is
hierarchy of
needs. Yeah.
No, it's
the
not
learning
that.
target. Yeah.
There's another one though. There's another one there, but basically showing how students can master growth from this to a point where then they are creating their own situation in boxes and things like that. Great stuff, guys. Let's
Hey,
let's get
I
to
just want to mention real quick, Erin showed me right when I first met him this really beautiful thing. What was it? It was the operational the table where you can go up and down. What is that called?
I have the mixing desk of LARP.
Yes, the mixing desk of LARP. So that I mentioned that because RPGs and role-playing game educational companies like the Game Academy are consistently making languages and diagrams and ways for people and children to understand not only how to build characters, but how to understand their character when their character does something that they may not do next time.
And to follow up on that in characters, and I know we're talking so much about one clip, but I guess it kind of is changing.
Go.
The system I based this on when we played this game is called Blades in the Dark. And to a lot of people, I would say for game masters, I'm going to encourage a lot of game masters here to look beyond Dungeons and Dragons into a lot of these other systems. And I say Dungeons & Dragons is great for being warriors that get to plan a battle map and fight things. But there's a lot of other games out there that really take and care about wanting to design characters this way. And it's really wonderful to read just either the essays about them or these different game centers that you can see they take the care to make character creation quick, but then expand afterwards on it. Because what we notice a lot in some games is it's like you spend a lot of time making your character before you even start, but instead it's like, no, just be quick. I want to be the wizard. I want to be the cleric with the healing powers, and I'm this cool guy. Okay, but why? And now suddenly the person's like, I don't know why I want to be that. Well, now we get to think about it. And that's what I really like in this game, and what I was trying to encourage with it is, I want that why there. Why are you doing this? And I love that the Game Academy itself really asks that of the students. It is like, wait, before you do that thing, why are you doing it?
And then we don't really even have time to sit and think about the why for too long. So we figure that why out by doing the how, which is the gameplay. And as we're doing the how, then 3 scenes later, the kid's like, oh, that's why.
Exactly.
Yeah. The and another plug, I know there's a lot. We at the Game Academy run lots of games, not just Dungeons and Dragons. We like using Pathfinder and Starfinder and the Fate system.
And those are all such great systems for what they do. I think it's so great that they use all these systems.
Yeah, we do a bunch. I just found a game that I want to put up soon that's Dreamland that's in beta testing, and the game uses words. So instead of rolling dice to get the bonus on a die roll, you have to use words in a flowery speech. So it's vocabulary building and language arts and confidence building and everything like that. It's built into the game system, and that's kind of what's sort of critical about this for you guys to kind of think about is that there's game systems that are that can really help if you're a first-time GM using this for education. Some of the games are very close to that, even if it's an entertainment game, an off-the-shelf commercial game made for entertainment with just a little nudging it can be very educational in multiple ways. And we'll talk about that a little bit as we get into clips. So we'll get to the next one, guys. Yeah.
Plan it all before the mission starts. You could be like, okay, no, I did have a trap set there, or I did have rope, and makes it just we can go straight into it that way. It'll be important for your character, Scott, as you do traps, okay? So don't think that in the beginning of the mission you have to plan out all the traps. You can say, oh, no, this is totally a time I had a trap ready for this. Got it?
Got it.
Okay, cool.
What?
Josh, you have... Wait, Fiona, you don't like that?
I mean, I guess if he did, then he did.
So you can, any character can do it, right?
Yeah, any of you can.
Okay.
So the reason you do it, Fiona, is if you did it the other way, you always get mad at yourself. You say you wish you did something, and then the cool action can't happen. I like the system where this thing does happen because you thought about it at that time and makes for a better story.
So basically, we can do it. We can use one of the 5 to just be like, "Oh, JK, that happened," and we can do that 5 times.
Yes.
I'm very into that.
So for me, what I appreciated what Keenan was doing was that he heard Fiona say what, and he immediately stopped and went, okay. He asked her, what was the issue you had with that? And he sat there and he took the time to explain it to her exactly why we're doing this, why it works out with the timing. And also that rule lets them, it makes it easier for them to make mistakes. Like we had mentioned before, it's a character for them to make a mistake, but this one even, retroactively, I thought of a cool thing, now I can't use it. Well, Keenan's already fixed that. That's a really good way to do that is, never mind, retroactively, you can say you've done this. You can also add, and it adds a whole bunch of more dimension and fun to the game, and it opens up a lot more doors. And to me, that's like what a good GM does.
And on top of that, can I just get deep here, you guys? I'm going to get deep here with you guys
Yes.
for a hot minute, okay? Growing up, I had a real hard time with faith. And I think I still do sometimes, the idea of God, we're like, get that out of the education room. But students need to believe in order to achieve. That's just fact. So when we have a student playing a game and they are aware that if they make a mistake, like you said, Emily, they can't just go, I didn't make that mistake. But they can say, okay, my character would have rope in my bag. Everyone would contest and say, or everyone would agree and say, yeah, you'd have rope in your bag. Okay, I want to use that rope, and I want to notice something about my character that I would or have prepared. And I want to use that knowledge and awareness now to make this mistake go away. But to now it's actually to problem solve in hindsight. And that technique to sit in your mind and to problem solve what you would have done and then actually be able to do it, we do not practice that muscle day to day. And to be able to have the time and the space to practice that muscle, it gives us faith that this story is on our side and that we're meant to learn this way. And that's how we learn in life.
There's amazing things that role-playing games do that I just love so much, which is that you can fail. And at least in Blades in the Dark, the game system that Keenan was using, you can use what's called stress. He was referring to stress, that you can take stress on your character and then kind of backstory set something up that will come into play. And you'll kind of see that later as that like backstory comes in. But the other thing that's great to use in games, and especially a lot of these games, are their safety techniques for stuff. And there's an amazing one by Brebo Sheldon called Script Change, which is just amazing. And it's just a technique that when you're communal storytelling and you have a scene, you can pause that scene, you can stop that scene, you can rewind and replay that scene, you can skip a scene if it's too troubling. And I think it's amazing to be able to say play a scene and the players, let's say, fail for some reason, they don't succeed in what their goal is, to actually say, hey, why don't we actually just replay this, let's try this again. Because that's what the military uses in their simulations, their military war games. They're trying again and again on these simulations. And Jane McGonigal has done a lot of research on in video games, because that's what video games do, that there's a great enjoyment if you fail, but you know why you failed and you get to do it again and try again, is like this massive joy of things doing that. And that's what can happen in these role-playing games. It's not like a test. You take a test and then you get graded and then you fail and you get back. Like, that's horrible. Why not like fail, find out, oh, what happened? What did I do wrong? And then try it again. And this is built into this role-playing game pedagogy. It's amazing that happens.
It has mastery-based learning. But another thing I want to say that I always love this quote, and I think it's from Vincent Baker, but could be wrong. It might be the guy who made Dungeon World. It says, look, if I, the game master, wanted to kill you all, I could just say lightning bolts come from the sky and destroy everybody, and the game's done. So one thing the game masters do, and we definitely emphasize it, is we want the characters to succeed. We're on your side. We're on the side of a good story. Now, one thing I want to say, though, is we will not always say you get to redo every scene so you win. We also know that good storytelling has suffering. Good storytelling has drama, and we want drama in storytelling, and we want to teach people that overcoming obstacles, as you guys said, that mastery learning is there and important. And sometimes you do need to fail. But what we always want to make sure is you can fail, but it's not going to break the game. We're never going to say, this has killed you and your story is done. In a lot of great games, we like to say, your character is going to die when you want them to die. And many times you'll find, I love, and I've seen so many characters, even students as young as like 12, their character will gladly sacrifice himself in this like epic way. And they'll be like, that was the coolest scene I've ever had in the game. And it's their own death, but they died on, their character failed on their own terms, or they saved the world from people. They got to be that hero. And so that's really where that comes from. And we definitely emphasize that. There's a lot of, there are some games where they play it to be like nope, we killed the whole party. It's a player party kill. But, we don't believe it. The Game Academy doesn't believe in that. We want that story. We want them to be creative, and that we want them to succeed. But we also understand that to really succeed, sometimes you're going to fail. You're not going to get every single thing you want, because that's a boring story.
Yeah. I think that it's not necessarily that the characters succeed, that we're on as a GM, I'm not on the side of the characters, I'm on the side of the players. You as a player, like, I want you to have a good time, but as a character, things are going to be rough. You are going to be challenged as a character, but you as a player, play yours as a group, collaborator, are going to work together.
The exact same thing in Hollywood on an ABC set, oddly enough. It's that everyone in the room, the casting director, the director, the writers, the PA, the actors, we're all rooting for each other as creators, as actors, as designers, to do our job well. And as the player of a game or an actor in a show, your job is to play. And so I think this just mirrors and parallels so many things, but realistically, it is us rooting for each other ultimately. And it's not easy to do. We've all been in rooms where we feel uncomfortable, we feel fearful, embarrassed, jealous, insecure. All of those feelings are much more prominent than supportive and joyous whenever you get into a group of 5 people. So to have something that really takes that energy, understands it, and molds it into something that's beneficial for everyone, I mean, come on, let's get this around the world.
There's a clip that's going to talk about this in the characters that we're gonna get to. So let's get to the next one, guys.
And then you just click on your own name. I just changed my name to Korthar.
Cool.
Herman changed his to Zamir. Joshua Archer, innocent bystander.
I have to add names to my little character sheet thing I'm keeping. Hold on. Korthar. Is it Korthar or Kortar?
Korthar.
Korthar.
Did I spell it right? Yeah, Korthar.
I just need to know if the T was near.
Do you like a Barcelona like Korthar?
Ashley?
Fiona, you zoomed into your face like a lot.
Sorry, guys. I had to change my... Sorry.
Yeah, Fiona, you are. Yeah.
Vance, is it Ashley or Ashley?
That's going to be Ashley Ice Cream. That's EIGH. Thank you. She's just very familiar with her ice magics. She's a little full of herself. She's very confident that she can, get out of any situation.
And what is your name, Fiona?
It's otherness.
I like it. Very interesting name. All right. So now that we have names, thank you for suggesting that. I'm usually really bad with it, and I am bad with names, but I'll just roll. All right. We're still at this point. We have not done our point of entrance. How do you want to get in? Do you want to sneak open that door, barge in quickly? Do you want to sneak them out to you and lure them out? What do you want to do?
Okay, so Zamir was talking about making these calls. I want to understand what the calls are going to do for us, and like how that's what we're going to do once they start coming out one by one.
Maybe we want to catch them alive, right?
I mean, yeah, because it's more money alive.
Wanting them alive.
More money alive. So I was thinking maybe some very ferocious animal calls, like lion, or animals that would be in that area.
And I can kind of help out with that too. I would cast just like an illusion of whatever noise your animal is mirroring, so we could just kind of cast it in the hall, so they're going to go towards that. We're probably going to alert all of them at some point with that, but we can at least take them off guard initially to kind of get the room open on our terms rather than barging in and them knowing us immediately.
Okay.
So we're thinking that if they hear a dangerous animal noise, they're going to go towards the dangerous animal noise and not stay inside.
Well, at least check it out. Like, I think they would be curious to know, like,
maybe
like
what
the noise is. Or like at least know what the noise is. Like, I feel like if you were gonna like hear something, you would at least want to investigate what that noise is.
So not mountain lions, but we interesting noises, some Zamir calls, some interesting cooing, and then you illusion bounce it off of something so they go the other direction.
I was just gonna like actually make an illusion of the animal, or I could be. I mean, I can basically make an illusion of kind of any kind of object or creature we need. So you just tell me like if we want us to do that after the noise, because the noise is going to alert them if we want to do that.
Okay.
I mean,
are we?
I don't know, Scott. I'm sorry, I lost your name. Hold on.
Sorry.
Zorthar.
Yeah.
No, Korthar. Sorry, I forgot my own name. Korthar.
Ashley.
Yes.
What were you saying?
Oh no, I was going to ask. So we're in a cave. Is this cave like? What is around us? Like, what does the cave look like? Is it like a straight way to the door, or is it like a slant? Like, what does it look like? What do our surroundings look like?
Once you enter the cave mouth, you notice a fire and just like a nice little cave mouth, kind of like the area. But then you notice a little farther back, they have made a sort of like a gate kind of doorway that goes into a room where this is their back area of it that only they really go into.
Ooh, lots to unpack. So what I really liked about this was that it's really encouraging everybody to discuss what they want to do, but it's also not telling anybody, specifically you're wrong. So they're like, oh, we can make an animal noise. Well, what kind of animal? There's really no wrong answer to that because everybody's throwing out their own stuff. It's a magical world. You can't really go wrong with anything like that. On the plus side of that too is they have to sit and they have to talk about the consequences of each animal. So they're like, oh, it can't be a mountain lion. It can't be a cougar because of this, this, and this. So it's giving them the critical thinking of logic. And it's really nice to see that kind of thing. You hear people, you have rational, logical reasoning for a game that's magical, for why they should or should not do something. And that does translate to real life very easily.
This was my favorite example of all 4 C's, what's called the 4 C's of the 21st century skills. Critical thinking, evaluating the situation. By the way, they're bounty hunters that are trying to capture these criminals alive. So they're critical thinking of like, what is the cave like? They are creatively coming up with ideas. We're going to have animals, make animal sounds that'll draw them out. They're communicating the ideas to one another, and they're collaborating where Vance is saying, okay, you do that, and then I'll create an illusion of that. This is like in this compact scene, which just sees, hey, it's a bunch of people planning, an attack, an ambush, but you look at it from an educator's perspective of all 4 of those C's, just going together in that 5-minute clip. It's amazing.
And on top of that, when I think about the 4 C's, they make sense to me, especially on paper, right? The logic, rationale of it all. But especially with children and teens and people like myself, emotions and energy distract us. It gets in the way of this critical thinking, this logical understanding. So how can we teach students to do both and balance both simultaneously? And through RPGs and what the Game Academy does, because we're so specifically focused on these 4 C's, is that the students are coming in with a perspective and a personal connection to these characters firsthand, and then we're going into gameplay. So they're molding the 2 together. And I was going to talk about this later. We can cut that clip. The visualization that Keenan puts us through, right? Are using the muscle to be able to sit and visualize, what does this scene look like? Where are the people in the room? How many people are there? How big is the space? Would I yell? Would it all go out, or would it reverberate back? All of these lessons are happening all through visualization in the middle of the game.
Yeah. The imagination that kids are using, that are evoked by those things, is just
and really
amazing.
Picturing it. Picturing it as Keenan's saying it. Okay, if the guy that has the shield is there and the guy that is trying to hurt me is over there, then okay, who's on the ice? And we all have to communicate with each other to agree. We even asked that later, like, okay, are our feet actually frozen on the ice, or are we slipping? And we're clarifying along the way the visualization of that space.
Yeah. Cool. Let's get to the next one. Okay, we're going to show a short little clip on something that was amazing that happened in the game.
Your shield will be busted.
Okay, so I block it, shield's busted, and then I'm looking at this group again, and then I feel like I know the guy that slammed Otherness against the wall, and I can't get a good picture of his face, and then he turns around from slamming my friend Otherness against the wall, and then I realize it's definitely my ex-barbarian boyfriend, Blarg, and I cannot believe he's with them right now. I'm so upset that he would be part of this.
Okay, so I thought that was an amazing instance in here that a player basically kind of said that the target they were trying to get, of the bounty they were trying to get, was someone they knew in their backstory. And what's very interesting in this is the next clip that I want to play, and then we can talk about both of them. So I'm going to play you guys another clip that's related to that.
If you want to go through with it, I need to know at this point, do you kind of listen to the words of Ashley, or do you go with your gut?
No, I just run up. Basically,
what are you doing? You're ruining the money.
I'm sorry. Samir is like holding me, and he's like crying, and his like tears drop on my skin, and it heals my whole body, and I can feel my strength. Like, oh, I'm okay again. And I'm like, so, you can't be with him, and he can't abandon his team. He should die. And then I run up, and I take both swords, and I go.
Okay, now here we go. So here we go. At this point, it actually goes like this. Ashley, you could always interfere in this, or someone could interfere in this, or you can allow it to happen.
So part of the like manipulation spells that I've got, ice and manipulation spells are kind of like my deal. My specialty is Ashley ice cream. I send her a message telepathically. It's a spell called Message. I can send it, and I just send her head and go, "It's just for the money." So trying to calm you down, like it's a facade. It's just for the money because he's worth more alive than dead.
So basically, you hear that in your head before the attack. Do you accept it or do you still stab?
I still stab.
Okay. Oh yeah, I guess this is the people who killed your dad. Okay, okay.
All right. Yeah, you did date the guy who killed her dad. I guess we should add that into this mix. But you never knew that, so let's work it out.
You didn't know.
Then
no, I just
unless anybody here wants to stop the fighter and actually interplace their body between this, she stabs the guy right there, slitting his throat while he's in cuffs. And I think he has to die looking into your face. And as he's looking into your face, he like holds his hand up to you and says, "At least I get to see the most beautiful thing. That's the last thing I remember." And then falls
I know, I feel guilty.
Nice.
Okay. So there was a lot going on there, which was absolutely.
There's so much to unpack.
Amazing, yeah. Which was great in that for many reasons. So who wants to jump in on this?
I want to at least first set the context, and then I'm going to let everybody else jump in.
Yeah.
But the context of the scene was he did make it so that they were dating, and then this villain, because he persuaded so well, was willing to give himself up, provided that when he escapes from jail, he gets another date with the character. And that itself was, I love it as like a creepy but also safe space to play with something that does happen in teenage life. And it's a real drama problem of like, I mean, this creepy dating guy is going to do things. That's weird. And I want to see how they handled it. And I was so happy to see how they handled it with then, unintentionally, it was all about the father, but in the same way, it was getting justice, which is cathartic for this, and killing the guy even after giving these opportunities. But I want to set that context before everybody talks about everything else.
Yeah. Emily, do you have something on this?
Yeah, so this is classic inter-party conflict. Obviously, your characters are going to be fighting each other. Stuff like that is going to happen, and I thought it was handled well. So I know Vance, who plays Ashley Ice Cream, was saying, oh, that's right, he killed your father. And so he was able to understand that in a meta context, like as a player, even if his character didn't really understand that. And that's really important. That's an empathy exercise. It's putting yourself in somebody else's shoes and making sure that you understand how they feel. And I know that does take a lot of practice. It looks really easy here, and I think it might look easy here because Fiona is an amazing actress and Vance is an amazing actor. So, that's easy for them. It may take a little bit more guidance in the classroom for you to be able to do that. But once you've got it, you've got it. Fiona says, I'm really sorry that I'm going to do this, but I'm going to stab him in the neck. And she understands that, she's separating herself from her character. And I think that's something we really want to emphasize at the Game Academy.
And on top of that, I mean, yes, we're actors, and so we're kind of trained to play, but that's what you want to get your students doing. You want them to be able to use critical thinking without thinking about it. They're critically thinking while they're playing. So whenever you got your teenage daughter going out with their friends on a Friday night playing bowling, right? She's out there playing with her friends. Is she going to use that critical thinking when she's also in that play mind? So I think that that's drastically important. And then on top of that, as the character myself, I genuinely went through the emotions of, I'm angry about the dad thing. That's been my goal this whole time. I've been tunnel vision focused on that goal. So when I had the opportunity to finally achieve it, I did. And right away, when Ashley said, well, I didn't know he killed your father. I get it now. I'm not mad at you because now I know. Immediately, I got the feeling of guilt, because she saw what I needed her to see. And so therefore my character now opens up to a new perspective. It would take months and months for an actual child to go through that same experience with their friends and have the betrayal and have the conversation. I mean, years. Sometimes I'll bleep it. it will take years for human beings to access that kind of empathy. So the fact that we can achieve this, and what, that last clip was a minute long. I mean, oh boy.
4 minutes, but there was a lot of stuff in there that was really good in the clip. And just to remind you guys viewing, like, we didn't rehearse this. I mean, we did have actors and adults, but like Fiona said, that this is the first time they've ever role-playing game. So this just came out. Now, intra-party conflict between characters going kind of against each other a little bit, between what happened was, Ashley's ex-boyfriend was killed by another character, but all the emotions came out of this, which is really good. This is social emotional learning, like, right in there. We're not going to show the clip, but later on, Herman had a funeral for Blarg, actually said some words. The monk said some words and had a funeral for him, which was amazing. It was also great because Keenan thanked him. And that just reminds you that, or reminding me that at the Game Academy, we reward character points. So good role playing, empathy, all the goals, the social emotional goals that we've set up with a parent before the student joins our program, we then reward them through character points that they can use. And it gives mechanical things, right? You get an extra bonus, +1 to your attack, or you get a reroll or stuff like that. But you can actually, you are being rewarded when the social emotional learning stuff like that happens. So Keenan did it in here. If this was a Game Academy, there would be like great character points to people doing this. But
and you know what I love about this, you guys? I love the fact, and you just pointed this out, Erin, that what we're doing here is we're taking traditional systems and we're not saying they're wrong. We're saying let's implement these traditional systems in a more solid and complex system for now. So the system that we need as the gameplay system, Blades of Death, I think is the one that we
Blades
use.
in the Dark.
Sorry, Blades in the Dark.
Yeah.
Death. Blades in the Dark is the system. D&D is the system. It's a system of storytelling for us to be able to continue to create. And the traditional systems that we have in educational establishments right now, i.e. Algebra, math, all of these systems are still necessary. So the Game Academy can take the systems and implement, okay, these students need to learn this that we are aware of. Let's put it inside of this learning system so we can do both.
There's something in there too that we can do. We didn't get into the math, but there's a point where they're bargaining. They get the reward from the bounty, and then the characters are talking in a shop that we can bring in math there. We can bring in percentage and
I was
bargaining.
Counting on my fingers.
Yeah.
I was sitting there going, okay, so if we have 3 and then we need 1, and then how do we?
So there's math that can be involved in there. There's science that can be involved in there. There's history that can be involved in this. Language, like so many of these other subjects, all could be falling into this situation. Now, what you saw as a demonstration was heavily on the social emotional learning, the 4 C's, but there's examples of how they're distributing rewards. And it goes in that otherness, Fiona's character was being penalized for killing it. And Scott's character, Korthar, was saying, we're going to be 10% less of the bounty. So in the distribution of the wealth, not only do you have the social emotional learning, but you have like, what is 10% of the reward less that goes in there? Keenan, did you have something on that clip? That's a lot, but
what it really is about the systems that are in place that can help make that happen and the safe setting that it creates. What I've known from the Game Academy and just how this works is you don't get that in every game. And it's not because it's like the players, it's not saying they're actors. You're right, none of these people we just ever played before. It got there because they all felt safe to be able to try. One thing in game design that I think we all agree on is, thank you for the hands, is we made a space that they were not afraid to do that. They were like, I'll do this thing and see if it gets any responses. And sure enough, when it was like, we'll make a relationship with the guy, we're all laughing. So we're like, we got to do it. This is great. And then what I even loved is like, what I remember saying to Fiona was like, all right, you can kill this guy. And then he goes, telepath. I even give him the chance. Telepathy. This is just for that. And it's like that, that safe warning. Fiona, you know what you're going to do is going to cause conflict in the party. You know it. They've said it. Are you still going to do it? And I love when you keep your morals and do that, because you were safe to do it. You were safe to disagree. And that's a really important skill I think we're trying to teach students, is how they can talk to each other and debate each other and have conflicting opinions with each other, but make that okay.
And that's where friendship is based off of. That's where trust is based from, right? When we're young and we develop our friendships with people, it all comes from the time of me messing up and you forgiving me for it, you letting me make mistakes and you accepting those mistakes. It's rare to get that all the time. So I don't know if this is a segue, but I wonder how that applies when the game ends. We're about to finish up here. Let's maybe kind of talk a little bit about when the game ends. I felt a lot of guilt for killing Ashley's dude. And after we finished, Vance and I kind of had this moment where I'm like, man, like, I made you mad. I did the thing that was opposite of what you wanted to happen. And although we were characters, we both are aware of that and recognize that we could like start talking about it. And I wonder how that can affect students, outside.
We do that. So that's perfect. We have an assessment. The Game Academy now assesses right after at the end. And our assessment is like, I can't remember how many questions, 7 or 8 questions, but it's like, what was challenging? What was difficult? What did you think about this? And so we would actually, that is a big cup of coffee. They would, so we actually have a written evaluation. So after each session with our students, we will talk about it. We will do exactly what you just said, is it wrap it up, and we'll talk about that to really button on the lessons that we have there.
Towards the ends of this, I know it's really easy for us to all get wrapped up in the drama of the story, but Keenan made a really good point of seeing somebody else's face, Korthar's face. And he said, Korthar, you look shocked. Do you have anything to say to that? And Korthar said something that was very, very much on schedule and very, very much on in character. And so it's important to make sure that it's not just focusing on one person, it's everybody's story. And I really thought that was a great thing that Keenan did as a good GM.
It's important for the enjoyability of the game, but also to make it that safe space where they all can do it. So it was very cool to hear that and be like, 3 weeks ago, we were in the training, and that was in the training that the Game Academy does.
Yep. Excellent. Thank you, guys. Thank you, everyone who's watching this. The previous slide kind of had what the Game Academy is all about. You can find us at thegameacademy.org. Our online courses are available now and we'll be continuing this online. It's based in the San Francisco Bay Area, and so when we are able to meet again, we're very keen on meeting in person. So what Emily was saying, we're very big about meeting in person. So we want to be meeting in person as much as we can when we can, but right now our stuff is online. And you can see our schedule there at thegameacademy.org. Tell us what you think of the panel. Give us suggestions. We're on Facebook and Instagram and all that. Thank you. Sorry we couldn't be in person to talk to you, chat after, out in the hall as we normally do after these panels, and that we will not be seeing you at San Diego Comic-Con, unfortunately. But everybody, please stay safe out there. It's tough times, but we can get through this together. We're working together. We can help. So we can do all this. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye, bye, bye.
Thank you.